students, welcome to AskPrep. My name is Sakshi and today we are going to start with Morphology of Flowering Plants. This is lesson number 5 of our biology book, right? So let's get started. So first of all, the definition, what does the word morphology mean? So morphology is the study of the external form, that is appearance, the outside, and structure of the flowering plants, which help them in identification and classification. When we were doing about the classification and nomenclature and all, the first thing that we talked about in that is that first is the identification is very important, and then once the organism or whatever we are going to talk about, it is identified, then further is it comes the how we can classify that, right? So here also the external appearance, कैसा दिखता है कोई भी plant, जो जैसा दिखता होगा फिर उसको उसी की category में then we place them, right? So the ferns, they look more or less alike, the mosses, they look alike, so that is why they are brought down in the similar category. Here also, whenever we are externally seeing a plant, and how does it look, that is how it has been classified and identified and then further classified. Now what is the importance? It provides the insight into the plant adaptation. So like xerophytic plants में कुछ plants देखेंगे जिनके अंदर flower, जिनके अंदर leaves भी होते हैं. Even cactus also shows flowers in some cases. So then how we can get to know about the adaptations, right? So staying in the same environment or falling in the same category, how these respective plants, they adapt in their according to their environment. Forms and the basis of plant breeding and agricultural practices. So when we know these are the different varieties, so interbreeding of those varieties and producing something new which is more yieldful and produceful can be made. Aid in ecological studies and understanding evolutionary relationship. So we can get to know about how evolution has taken place here, right? What are the changes over the period of time has happened here? So these all can be studied once we know about the morphology of a particular organism or a plant in this case. Now talking about the parts of the flowering plants. What all are the parts? First of all, we are starting with the typical parts that all the flowering plants have. We will start from the ground itself and we'll talk about the roots. So we all know the main purpose of roots is the anchorage to the plant. It gives the support to the plant. It is the one that keeps sturdy and hold the plant in its place, right? So anchorage, and secondly is the absorption. So whenever we have to water the plant or put the minerals or anything to the plant, we want to provide something to the plant, we always put it in the soil that it is sown in. So the absorption is also one of the main factors that the role that is played by the roots. Secondly, we come to the stem. Now root soil के नीचे से उसको support provide करता है, but what about the above, right? So something is required that is very sturdy and gives good support to the plant. So that is done by the stem. And also जो भी substance, whether we talk about the water or the minerals or the nutrients, whatever is being absorbed by the roots, it has to reach the higher end also, it has to reach the flowers also and the leaves as well. So the conduction is also one of the major factor with one of the major role that is played by the stems. Conduction of minerals and water to the other part, also the conduction of food which is prepared in the leaves to the rest of the part of the plant, right? So that is done by the stem. Thirdly, we come to the leaf. We know that leaves are also called the kitchen of the plant because they are responsible for the photosynthesis, and hence the plant undergo autotrophism, right? So that is the main site where the food is manufactured and the gas exchange takes place, right? Release of carbon dioxide with the help of the stomata, release of oxygen with the help of the stomata, right? Next, we come to the flower, the reproductive structure of the plant. Since they are more bright and beautiful, and it has a lot of fragrance in it, it attracts the insects. So whenever the insects come and sit on them, they help in spreading the pollens as well, due to which they are the main site for the reproduction and helps them to spread. Now, fruit protects and help in seed dispersal. We know that the fruit there is a seed inside, so it is one of the protection for the seed itself, and also it helps in the seed dispersal. And the fruits that we eat, they help in the multiplication. When the fruit is good, then more and more plants of the similar kind will be grown, right? Now the seeds contain the embryo and supports germination. So whenever we put the soil under the whenever we put the seed under the soil, right, providing it's the favorable environment, the seed, it bursts open and the embryo starts to emerge out of it, and eventually helps in germination and resulting in the production of the new plant, right? So these are the basic characteristics of a flowering plant. Now we will study about it all in details. Now, talking about the roots, what all types of roots are there? So first of all is the taproot. Taproots वो होती हैं जिसमें one main होता है, and then there are smaller side roots that emerge from the one parent root and rest hair-like structure, the secondary roots. The one is the primary, which is one big, and then further secondary roots that emerge from the side of it. And this is very commonly seen in carrots, radishes, right? So whenever we bring these radishes at home from the market, we see this tiny hair-like structure on the side, the lower end of the radish, right? So what is that? It is the secondary roots, and the thicker one, the edible part of it, it is the main root, which is the taproot, right? So examples we have done here, the carrot, radish, and so on. Fibrous root. Fibrous के अंदर कोई main body नहीं है. There are no primary roots. They are like they spread in the different direction. जैसे कि grasses में होता है. Grass को कभी uproot करके देखो, then it spreads in the different direction. So it is and it so that it spreads and give good hold, right? So they are the tiny hair. So these are the tiny roots arising from the base of the stem itself, right? Multiple spreading in the different directions, right? Just to give the hold and good support, right? Which is seen in the grasses, the wheat and rice and so on. Adventitious roots. The roots that grow from non-root part of the plant, like in banyan tree, right? So banyan tree के अंदर हमने देखी है adventitious roots कहाँ से आती हैं? It comes from above, right? From the non-root part, that is from the stem. अब इतना बड़ा हो जाता है banyan tree, it is huge and huge that the roots which are under the soil, they are very firm, they are very sturdy, but the upper area is so huge that it requires an external support. So that is why these prop roots, they appear from the branches itself and then hang down, cling down, and then reach to the ground, right? Which provides the extra support. अब हमें पता है इसके functions क्या होते हैं. The functions of root is the absorption of water and mineral, anchorage of the plant in the soil, the storage of the food, of course, in case of the potatoes, the radishes, carrots, and so on. We have just discussed that they provide the storage of the food, right? Specialized functions like respiration, nematophores in mangroves. We will talk about it later when we are going to talk about the adaptations, right? So here are the characteristics of roots. कि roots किस type की होती है? We have talked about the 3 types of root: taproot, fibrous root, and adventitious roots, right? Next we move on to the stem. अब shoot और stem में बहुत फर्क है. You have studied this in the junior classes also, that there is a lot of difference between shoot and a stem. So what is that difference? Please write in the comment section and let us know about it. Right? So let's talk about the stem now. The aerial part of the plant are rising from the plumule of the embryo. Plumule क्या होता है? जब embryo जब seed erupt करता है तो the upper portion, एक उसमें से पतला सा धागा ऊपर निकलता है, one small thread goes down, right? So the upper one is the plumule, and when it arises towards, it is phototrophic in nature. That's again an important point, that stems are positively phototrophic in nature, whereas the roots, they are negatively phototrophic in nature. Photo का मतलब light. So the movement is towards the light, whereas the roots move away from the light, right? And the other term is the geotrophic movement. Geo, whenever the term geo comes, it means the earth. So what do you think? The stems are positively geotrophic or they're negatively geotrophic? Yes, they are negatively geotrophic. So when we talk about the roots, they are positively geotrophic because they grow towards the gravity of the earth, while the stems go upside, right? So that is the difference between these two. This also questions come quite often in the MCQs. So now it bears nodes from where the leaves arise. ठीक है, हमने it is very commonly seen in case of bamboos या sugar canes, lines type होती हैं उसके बीच में, and there is this much space, and then there is one line, there is a space and the line, right? So what are these lines? These lines are the nodes, and the in betweens are the internodes. Okay, so जो वो line है particular, वहीं से leaf arise होंगे, so they have nodes and internodes, right? So stem में होता है. Now talking about the function of the stem. It supports whole leaf, flower and fruits. Strength support देता है. Conduction, we have talked about it. कि transport of water and minerals from the roots to above, and the food through the xylem and phloem, right? Xylem and phloem क्या है? Conducting tissues है, which are present in the stem, right? Phloem provides the food, that means it goes from the leaves to the rest of the part, whereas xylem, it provides the conduction of water and minerals, which means that it travels from the root to the rest of the part, right? Storage, like is in case of potato, onion, ginger, garlic, so these are the stems, right? That is edible also. Photosynthesis in some cases, like cactus का जो the cactus is very green in color, right? It is fleshy in color. So now since the cactus is in the desert area, in the xerophytic areas, so uske andar there is the adaptation which is seen in cactus, because of which the stem perform the photosynthesis since it lack the leaves. क्यों? क्योंकि leaves होंगे तो leaves से transpiration होएगी, there will be more water loss also, and these organisms that survive in the xerophytic area, they cannot afford to lose water, right? Since the water is already less, so whatever they have, they cannot afford to lose that. So that is one of the adaptation in case of cactus, that the leaves are adapted into the thorns, and the role which is supposed to be played by the leaves, it plays by the stem, right? And also since it is nice and fleshy, so that means there is a storage of food also. So in those cases, both the roles are played by the stem. One, it is the photosynthesis. Number two, it is the storage as well, right? Propagation, vegetative propagation में भी मदद करता है. Like in case of rose, sugarcane, bamboos, उनमें क्या करो आप? You cut a stem and put it in a soil, and what you see, you put it in the favorable condition, provided enough water and minerals, whatever, then you will see that the new plant has started growing, right? So this in those cases, stem helps in propagation as well, right? So this is all about the stem. Next we are coming on to the leaves, right? Leaves are the green part. They have the chlorophyll. They perform photosynthesis, also called as the kitchen of the plant. They have the stomata, due to which the exchange of gases also takes place. It helps in transpiration with the opening and closing of stomata. So a lot more to see here in the leaves. So let's talk about the various parts of the leaf. Leaf blade, first of all, the outer, the external of the leaf, it is called the leaf blade, lamina, right? The flat green portion of the leaf, it is called the lamina. And also we know that it performs the photosynthesis. Petiole, जो पतली सी एक stalk होती है, with the help of which it is attached to the stem, that is the petiole. Stipules, the small leaf-like structures at the base of the petiole. Not in all we have seen, but in few it has been observed these stipules are present, right? Now the type of venations. Venations क्या? Veins उसके ऊपर. Well, let's talk about the role of the vein. क्या role है? One, it provides a rigidness to the leaf. We know leaves are very very soft, right? तो उनको एक rigidness provide करता है veins. Secondly, if suppose this is the leaf, the food is getting manufactured over here, it has to travel to the other part. So the transfer also, or the conduction also in between each other, that is also done by these veins. अब depending on their pattern on the leaf, किस type के होते हैं, it can be a parallel venation, long lines lined, the parallel lines together, right? Like you've seen in banana leaves, very commonly it can be observed, or in the bamboo leaves. So they are the parallel venation, right? Or the other one is the reticulate, जो ऐसे spread हो जाते हैं, जैसे कि mangoes में, right? So one more thing to remember is जो reticulate venations है, वो होते हैं dicotyledons में, और जो parallel venations है, that is seen in the monocots, right? About the function, we have talked about the photosynthesis, that it converts the sunlight into the chemical energy, and eventually which is stored in the form of starch in the plant, which is the food for the plant itself, right? Transpiration में help करता है, help in cooling down and nutrient transports. जब नीचे से absorb होके leaves में आता है water, तो the stomata open and they release the water content or the moisture in the air. In onion and garlic, garlic and onion greens जब हम देखते हैं, they are longer, right, and a little fleshy also, ठीक है? उसके अंदर the leaves are modified in such a manner that they start storing food, right? Now protection in some cases, like in the cactus, we have discussed in the previous topic in the stem also, कि cactus के अंदर the leaves are modified into the spines or the thorns, due to which it protects कि उसके अंदर का जितना water content और fleshiness है, to protect it from the animals, the leaves are modified into the thorns, right? So let's move on to the flower, the most beautiful and fragrant part of the plant. Let's talk about this structure सबसे पहले. The sepals and the petals. Petals सबसे पहले क्या होते हैं? Petals are those beautiful colored part of the flower, जो हमें बहुत सुंदर लगते हैं दूर से, yellow, orange, red, white, pink, and so on, right? Why are they so brightly colored and they are full of aroma? We have discussed it, that it helps in attracting the insects. जैसे हमें भी colors अच्छे लगते हैं, likewise the insects also like the colors, right? So when they see these bright color flowers, they get attracted towards it, and then they absorb their nectar, take their nectar from the flowers, and they also take the pollens from the flower and then disperse them on the other sides or leave it on the other flowers, due to which the pollination happens, right? Now sepals, जो leaf-like structure, as you can see it over here, the leaf-like structure which is present at the base of the flower, right? अब ये क्या होता है? When the flower is still in the bud form, right? So sepals क्या करते हैं, उसको protect करते हैं, since petals are very very soft and tender. So sepals little rigid होते हैं, तो little rough होते हैं, and these are the leaves that keep the bud enclosed. So as the flower opens, they gradually push the sepals below, right? And thus these sepals, they come at the base, right, providing the support from the base itself, right? Now the outer green whorl of the that protects the bud, right, it is also called as calyx, and the petal is called as the corolla, right? Now stamen is the male reproductive part, which consists of anther and the filament. We know this stem like structure over here, and the head over here, it is called the anther. It is a bilobed structure जिसके अंदर ऐसे, और इसके अंदर दो फर्दर कंपार्टमेंट होते हैं जिसके अंदर पोलन्स होते हैं, राइट? सो नाउ these open and reach the stigma, maybe of this flower, maybe of some other flower also. इस फ्लावर के तो यहाँ से हवा से उड़ के आ गए और इसी पे pollination हो गया, okay? But in the other cases, when they get carried away by the wind or by insects, right, then they go at a distance and then get pollinated with the other flowers, right? So the carpel is the female reproductive part, which is here in the center, this the stalk like structure, we can see it here. This part is called the style, and above is the stigma. Stigma has the sticky nature, which whenever the pollens, they sit on that, they get sticked, and thus a pollen tube is formed. So this tube makes sure that these pollen, they reach over here to the ovule and then thus fuse with that. So when this fusion happens, when the zygote is formed, it is the zygotic form, and hence the next level comes, which is the formation of the seed. We will just talk about it now. Coming on to the types of the flowers. Complete flower has all the four whorls, जैसे कि ये hibiscus flower का example लिया गया है यहाँ पे. Next is the incomplete flower. It may lack one or two whorls, that means in the cucumber. Bisexual में दोनों stamen and carpels are present. Unisex में single, either stamen or the carpel are present, right? तो इसमें क्या होता है कि the pollination happens when it moves with the help of the wind or with the insects, right? Now the function, we have talked about it, that facilitation of pollination and reproduction, and produce seeds and fruit after the fertilization. So once the fertilization has taken place, then that means this ovary is going to the next level. Formation of seed happens here. और फिर उस stage में क्या होता है? These petals, they shed off, these sepals, they shed off, and then it starts growing in size and the seed start forming, right? Now let's talk about the fruit. Fruit formation developed from the ovary after fertilization. In some plants it developed without fertilization also. Parthenocarpic fruits जो होते हैं, like bananas, right? ठीक है, जैसे तो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया with the fusion of male and female gametes, and the ovary eventually start undergoing the process of formation of seed, and then the fruit is formed, right? So this is called the fertilization, right? अब ovaries कैसे, अब different type of fruits, right? Simple fruit they develop from the single ovary. एक ही ovary से fruit बन गया, like in tomatoes and the mangoes, right? Multiple ovaries of a single flower, they form the aggregated fruit. But when we come to multiple fruit, that means the ovaries of multiple flowers, right? Different flowers, they form together, which result in the formation of fruit, and it is seen in case of pineapple or jackfruit, right? अब इसका function is protection of seed during the development and aid in the seed dispersal through wind, water or animals, ठीक है? So initially अगर तो pollens के time पे वो spread हो गए, then also it is fine. otherwise seed dispersal के time पे भी होता है. Whenever the seed gets dispersed, then also with the help of the wind or water or the animals or insects and so on, right? So they help in spreading up the seeds, right? Okay, seed. So let's talk about the seed first of all. Seed coat, पहले तो outer covering, right? फिर उसके बाद embryo. Embryo जो उसके अंदर होता है, पहले outer है जो हार्ड कवरिंग है, जो कि अंदर जो सॉफ्ट एम्ब्रियो है उसको सेफ रखता है, राइट? एम्ब्रियो के अंदर क्या क्या है? वन इज द रेडिकल जिससे रूट्स निकलती हैं, नंबर 2 इज द प्लूम्यूल जिससे शूट बनता है, एंड द कॉटिलेडन दैट इज द सीड लीव्स, राइट? नाउ द टाइप, कॉटिलेडन्स के 2 टाइप्स होते हैं. सिंगल कॉटिलेडन दैट इज द मोनोकॉट, जैसे यू कैन सी इट हियर इन द पिक्चर, राइट? इट इज जस्ट द सिंगल कॉटिलेडन, one cotyledon which is seen in the maize and wheat and so on, right? Dicots means 2 cotyledons are present, जैसे कि ये. Clearly we can see it here in the picture. The 2 cotyledons are present, right? Now what is the function? Function is the germination and gives rise to the new plant, right? फूड स्टोरेज ऑफ कोर्स, अब एम्ब्रियो है उसके अंदर वो नया प्लांट बन रहा है, सो इट हैज टू स्टोर सम फूड सो दैट द plant can grow well inside. So it provides nutrients to the developing embryo, right? So this is the main role of the seeds. Now coming down to the modification, we have talked about the different characteristics, different parts of the plant. So let's talk about the modification. First of all, coming on to the roots, storage है, we have talked about in case of turnip, radish, carrot, beetroot and so on. Storage की बात होती है. Now respiratory मतलब कि in those areas, in the marshy areas, like, so what happens, there is a lot of water there, ठीक है? So the roots, they cannot breathe. So roots cannot breathe properly. So what happens, they come right above the surface of the water. These are called nematophores. This picture over here, right, as we can see. So the roots, they have come up on the surface so that they get the good amount of air that is required by them, right? So this is one very good modification, the example of modification in nematophores which are present in the mangroves, right? Now the stem storage, we have talked about कि potato में, ginger में, garlic में, onion में, इनमें storage होती है, right? The climbers and the creepers, okay? So what happens in those cases जहाँ पे stem वीक है, उतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है, वुडी नहीं है, so what happens then, the stem, they show the different characteristic. They have the adaptation of tendrils, right? Tendrils coil themselves around and then climb up. Like a good example is a money plant. मनी प्लांट इजीली आप उसको कहीं भी सपोर्ट दोगे, वो उसके ऊपर क्लाइंब करना शुरू हो जाए. क्यूकम्बर इज अ गुड एग्जाम्पल हियर, राइट? वो उसके ऊपर क्लाइंब करना शुरू हो जाते हैं बिकॉज they are the climbers, right? In the creepers, let's talk about the creepers now. Creepers क्या होते हैं? Creepers, they creep along the ground के साथ. Why? Number 1, because the fruit that they bear, it is too heavy, too big कि किसी भी support के साथ उनको climb करना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है. A very good example here is a watermelon, muskmelon, or the pumpkins, right? So these are, since pumpkins and watermelons, they are huge in size, they are big and they are very heavy, so they cannot be taken up and grown on with the support of something, so they creep along the stem, along the ground, right? So that is another modification which is seen in the stem, which includes both creepers and climbers. And of course the photosynthesis, we have talked about it in the previous slide, that how cactus has shown the modification, right? Now talking about these leaves के साथ भी the tendrils, they are present in the stem as well as in leaves. Pea is a good example here. Pea में there are the tendrils which are present, which help them to climb, and which help them to climb with the help of the support, right? Spines in case of cactus, we have talked about it, and storage of water and food in case of onion and garlic, right? We have talked about it, that also. So here are the few modification and the adaptation that is shown by the different part of the plants, and it is seen very commonly around us. So that is all about this chapter, about the different characteristic that is shown by the plant, about the modification also, about the function and the roles and the types that we have talked about, the different types of roots, stem and leaves which are present, and their functions, right? So see you in the next class. Thank you.